Good afternoon. So I'm here with my .25 cal BSA Ultra. It's a sub 12 foot-pound rifle, and this is a follow-up test with the Qiufeng Chronograph, the barrel fit chronograph that I reviewed recently. So the point of this test was to test it with a 25 cal pellet through this in a sub 12 foot-pound to make sure there's no clipping, which there isn't, and also to work on the calibration of this chronograph. Now most chronographs can be calibrated, and this was shooting a little low, so what I did some testing, and I basically chronographed, I think it was a whole magazine, 8 shots, took an average, first of all with the FX radar, which is this thing here, yeah, as a reference point, because I know that actually reads almost identically to my LMBR or my R2A chronograph as well, so they're my two go-to chronographs. And so I wanted to make some adjustments to this to bring it into line. Now, I'll show you the actual menu. So if you press both buttons together, it's a bit difficult to show on camera, but you press both these buttons, there's only 2 buttons, press them in together and hold them, that comes up, and then it'll go to the actual calibration. And you'll see the calibration reading there, that's at 103%. So you can adjust it from 90 down up to 110, that leeway. And with a bit of like testing, I managed to get it to read pretty close to what the FX radar and the LMBR reads. Okay, once you've actually adjusted that setting, by the way, up and down with the 2 keys, just hold the top one in and that saves it. Okay, and then you get your display for the shooting. Hold the bottom one and it turns it off. Okay, so that's that. Now, obviously, that's the main silencer. I use the A&M silencer for the actual Ultra. Basically, it takes all the sound out apart from the hammer, really quiet. So obviously you need to remove that to fit this. Obviously I've got my adapter because of the thread issue I had. And this goes straight up to the end there really nicely. If you think this is going to act as a moderator, not really, forget that. It's a long thread so it fits perfectly, yeah. So that's it actually on the actual barrel. It'll get maybe a slight reduction in sound, but nowhere near like a moderator. I mean, very, very slight, just purely because of the length, you know, the extra length you're firing the pellet through. Okay, so yeah, I fired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 eights. That's 72 from 200 bar down to 100, and I used the FX radar first as a reference. Then I used this chronograph here to do some adjustments. By the way, this rifle is fully unloaded. I am sitting, you know, in front of it, but it has obviously been safety checked by myself before. I've got the PARD 008 night sight on it as well. So yeah, so I did FX radar first, then I adjusted the barrel. I did 100% first to have a reference point, and then tried some different adjustments, and I got to 103%. Then I went back to the FX radar, the next magazine, to cross-check it, yeah, and that's when I finished. So what I shall do, these are all average over 8 shots, okay? So 8 shots through each of the 2 chronographs, and then the energy and the average FPS is all averaged out. Okay, I used 0.25 grain, obviously, 25.4 grain, 0.25 cal. These are air arms. They're also the air arms and also the JSB, same pellet, yeah. So here we go. So I'm just going to run this across for you so you can pause it and read it. So from there, and then I'll just pull it across the camera, and you can pause it and look at the information. Okay, but what I found was this one here, the last barrel check I did with the barrel chronograph at 103%, it was about 148 bar that was, which is the peak of this rifle. It certainly has a peak, yeah, it has a power curve because it's unregulated. So yeah, what I had with the 103%, I had 11.68, and then I went back to the FX radar, the magazine, directly after, where it dropped to 136 bar, and I was 11.58, yeah. Average FPS between those 2 magazines was only 2 FPS difference all the way through, okay, and the spread was only 4 FPS over the 8 shots, as you can see on this graph here. Okay, so that was the information, and that's how I managed to cross-refer the Qiufeng, I think it's pronounced, Chinese chronograph to the actual FX radar. Okay, so I hope you find that useful. So if you need to make some adjustments to bring your Qiufeng chronograph into line with any of the other chronographs you use, which are probably, you know, are accurate, shall we say, because I know the FX radar and the LMBR the LMBR chronograph is more or less identical. They read the same, and they do match it with other information from other chronograph readings from companies that use, you know, scans and like that. I know they're pretty good, so you can adjust the actual chronograph. I think you can do it with the what's it called, the CBR Mark 4 or something like that, I think it's called. It's a little one you put in the barrel. I think you can definitely adjust that as well, make adjustments to that, to the actual calibration. So that's how you can adjust the calibration on this one to bring it into line. So I hope you find that information useful. And also, this is the information I actually did a chronograph through the LMBR, and you can see this graph, it looks really irregular. That's 40 shots, by the way, but the actual spread and the actual deviation, if you see the figure there in green, is only 15 and 3. Yeah, it was only the very final shot, yeah, of the, you know, shot 40 that dropped right off. Otherwise the spread would only been 11 FPS over all 39 shots. So this rifle is very consistent if it's in that power band, or should we say, instead of going to 232 bar, which is the max fill for this rifle, you're better off probably going to only 200 bar or 210 bar and shooting down from that, and you'll probably be much more consistent, especially with the first, like, you know, 5 magazines or even 6 magazines. Okay, so just a little bit of information you might find interesting, but it does give you an insight to how this is easier to adjust once you've actually just, you have to have the power off, hold 2 buttons in, you'll get the indicator at the top, yeah, so you can adjust that, and that'll adjust the calibration of the actual readings. So you can see when you read the data I've got there, when you pause it and have a read of it, you'll see the differences and what the different calibration settings do. Okay, so I hope that's useful. Take care, and thanks for watching.